So, what I wanted to talk about today, I feel like, is a really important conversation because it's something that keeps coming up for me with friends and with clients. Um, and I feel like it's definitely important if you identify as an empath, but it applies to everybody. Even if you don't identify with that word or that label, um, or a personality type that is included among empaths, or however you'd want to phrase it. This is important to anybody who has felt like they've kind of been at the mercy of somebody else's emotions and whims. I have this image in my mind when I talk about this, or when I feel this, of like being on the beach, on the shoreline, and the ocean's really stormy and the waves just keep crashing down on you and hitting you, um, and you keep feeling pulled under and like you can't catch your breath. That's sometimes how it feels when you're dealing with somebody else's stormy emotions coming at you and you're feeling them in your own body and taking them on. Um, Not saying that you want to take them on, but that's just kind of what happens. Maybe that's just what you're used to doing. Maybe that's just how it's always been for you, or maybe that's how it is in this particular relationship. Um, but that's how it feels. You can't catch your breath. You have no control. It's this thing that's so much more powerful than you. And it's dictating your reality in that moment. Um, and that's a very scary feeling. And you may or may not be conscious of how scary of a feeling that is. But when you are consciously aware, you know, that's really unpleasant. If you've ever been on the beach and had that experience, or in the ocean and had that experience, it's scary, it's unpleasant. So, the thought that I want to put out there, the idea that I want to put out there, is that as humans, we have this beautiful gift of being able to create. And that's true of all of us, including empaths. We create, we are creators. And that's something that I have always loved and enjoyed, is creating. But I've always thought of it in terms of, art, creative expression, maybe like decorating. That's how I've thought of like being creative. I think that's how most of us think about being creative, but there's a lot more to it than that. So the idea that I'm putting out there is that we can help create the vibe, the emotional vibe in our environment. We help create our environment. And the way that we do that is by being grounded in ourselves, being present within our own bodies, and acknowledging that we have that level of power, that same level of power that the other person or people have, that we're feeling these waves of emotions coming at us and we're feeling it create something in us that's undesired, that's overwhelming or unsettling. But just like they're creating that feeling in that environment, we can create too. We also project outward, even though I think it feels, as somebody who's sensitive or someone who identifies as an empath, that what we do is receive, that we're sort of like this cup to be filled up. But that's really only part of the story. Where we might have, and this is not true of all empaths, but we might identify as somebody who has energy that kind of moves inward. And like we're taking in, we're observing and we're receiving, information from the outside world and we're receiving energy from the outside world. But that energy doesn't just come in and stay in. We also move energy, emotion, vibe. We move that outward too. So we create. The question is if we're consciously creating or unconsciously creating. And if we are in a state of this is happening to me, this is just happening to me, I hate using the V word, but subconsciously I think most of us feel this, that we're the victim of other people's emotions or emotional outbursts. It might not even be an outburst, it might just be their uncomfortable feelings that come out and we feel it in us, or we just feel it in the environment and it makes us uncomfortable. But if that's all we think is happening, is that it's hitting us and nothing's going back out, we're creating completely unintentionally and unconsciously. What's coming back out of us is those feelings of overwhelm and fear and uncertainty and kind of like a frantic, desperate searching for how to fix, how to make it better. So now imagine those feelings coming at you, that overwhelm, that uncertainty, that frantic movement, that desperation of we need to change this but we don't know how. Imagine that coming at you. Imagine that as those waves. That's super unpleasant, right? I mean, we don't like feeling it in our bodies. Nobody else likes feeling it either. But that's the vibe that we're putting back out there. And this is certainly not to blame anybody or shame anybody for the way in which they're reacting to the emotions that they're picking up on, or the vibes they're picking up on from other people. Absolutely not. The thing is just that a lot of times we're experiencing this and we're unaware of what's happening, of the process, and what to do about it. So this is not saying that this is your fault in any way. This is just creating awareness so that we know what to do next. So when we know that that's what we're creating, we can see our part in contributing to that stormy sea of emotion. You know, we're not calming anything. And I think that's one of the really cool things about being somebody who identifies as empathic or just sensitive and caring, is that we have this desire and ability, if we allow it, to calm others, to bring calm to others. And I personally love that. I've resisted a lot this whole empath thing, this whole being a emotionally centered being, because it has, when I was more unhealed, felt like vulnerability and weakness. But I can see now the gifts there of being able to help other people find calm and comfort, and also giving that gift to myself. And I really love that. So when we can, as usual, take a step back on the shore, on the beach, just take a step back and we can observe the ocean, the stormy waves, and maybe we can even feel the spray from the waves. It's not that we're not feeling it, it's not that we're turning it off, but we're taking it from more of an observational standpoint rather than being at the mercy of it, rather than allowing it to smack us over and over and pull us under. We can see, okay, this is what's going on for this person, or this is what's happening in this environment, in this relationship dynamic. It's not calm. You know, maybe there's anger, maybe there's fear, maybe there's tension, anxiety. But that's not ours. That's not us. So we're taking a step back and we're grounding. And we're saying, I have power here to create. And what do I want to create? I know for me, I want to create calm and reassurance. And I also want to empower and help others to remember that they have these gifts within them as well, to be calm and to take control of what they're feeling, of their mood. Sometimes that's a really hard concept to grasp. It's been a hard concept for me to grasp, and I'm still working on it. That I actually have the power to influence my own moods, to create my own moods. But that is just so incredibly beneficial to a person who identifies as an empath, because we are affecting everybody else just as we're being affected. Maybe not to the same degree. Maybe they're not as sensitive as we are, this person that we're in a relationship with, or people in the environment that we're having trouble with. Probably not. But we do still affect other people, for sure. We're interdependent. We're created to be interdependent. That's just who we are as humans. So if what I'm putting out there, because of the vibes I'm picking up on, is uncertainty and overwhelm, I'm just going to get more negativity in return. Whether it's fiery passion because that other person's trying to compensate for my uncertainty, which has been my experience a lot. And I don't like that because it's very intense, although I can look at it differently now than I used to. Or whether it's the other person gets more overwhelmed and more frantic, and then that just makes me more overwhelmed and frantic, or then I start getting maybe angry because now I'm trying to compensate, but it's still all happening at an unconscious level. It's not this conscious creation. So it's like you make your own problem worse by going to sleep to the fact that you create and project emotions out into the world that affect other people. We affect other people. Our emotions affect other people. It's not just us. We're not the only ones affected. So, and I think that stings a little bit to hear and to say, because we care so much about other people, and we try, I think most of us, to live in such a way that we're not affecting other people negatively. But without trying, we might be. And we're definitely affecting ourselves negatively by not grounding and acknowledging our own power in the moment. So I'm not going to get into it in this video, but something that I'm, actively talking about with clients, something that I'm journaling about myself and working on, is, because I'm totally a work in progress, is how do we really start feeling that power and that grounding again. And I think maybe I'll make another video about that, hopefully. I'm trying to stop allowing the perfect to be the enemy of the good with these videos. And that, I'm not waiting just for the perfect mood to strike and the muse to start talking to me, or circumstances to be perfect, because there have been zero perfect circumstances over this past year, as most of you know, I'm sure. But I would love for there to be like a positive conversation. If you want to leave a comment how you have learned to sort of ground and feel in your own power as someone who is very sensitive to the vibes of other people, how you hold your own, how you stand in your own body and in your own energy. I'd really love to hear your experience, or if this is something you're struggling with and you want to talk about it, make a comment and we can have a conversation about that. I would love for this to just be like a really positive environment of growth and encouragement. But this is what I am trying to have in my mind on a daily basis now, is that I create my mood. My mood does not create me. So that's what I'm gonna leave it with, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon.